I'm Pastor George Borghardt. I serve as the senior pastor at Immanuel Lutheran Church in Bossier City, Louisiana. I also have the honor of serving as the president of Higher Things. If you'd like, you're joining us for our text study of the book of Romans. If you'd like a deeper study on this, go to myht.higherthings.org and join us and become a MyHT Gold subscriber. Our Gold subscribers get access to discounted merchandise. They get all of our premium content, which includes 20 years of youth Bible studies and magazine articles. And also they get this live stream Bible study for what amounts to be a total of less than a quarter per Bible study. So grab your coffee, grab your MyHT Gold subscription, and deep dive for us starting at 11:30 Central Time. All right, let's hit the text, shall we? We stopped. We'll move me over here. We stopped on verse 28 yesterday. We did not do 28. And again, just a little bit of introductory stuff because we find that we are having more and more views as each day goes. There are two types of righteousness. There's the righteousness of law and works. And then there's the righteousness of faith in Jesus Christ. The righteousness of the law, or probably better said, the unrighteousness of the law, and that's our unrighteousness, not God's, is discussed in the first 3 chapters of Romans, where Paul unpacks the problem. And the problem is that while the gospel is about the power of God unto salvation to all who believe, first the Jew, then the Greek, for in the gospel the righteousness of God is revealed from faith to faith, just as is written, the just shall live by his faith. In the law, our unrighteousness is revealed. And it's pretty devastating, the argument Paul makes in the first 3 chapters, concluding with, by works of law shall no flesh be justified before God, because through the law comes knowledge of sin. And so the most that the law can do is diagnose and condemn your problem. And your problem is that you can't save you. You can't fix it. No one is right. No, not one. Nobody does what seeks God. No, our mouths are full of deceit. Our tongues are poisonous asps. Our lips are chapped with basically death. Our feet run to do harm to others and to sin. And there's no good found in us. There might be flickers of good, but not before God. Not that if we took a long, hard look at ourselves, we wouldn't be honest that this is about us. We do what we do for ourselves. Our unrighteousness is what the law uncovers. And Lent is a good time for that, for the law to do its work on us, because in it we're emptying ourselves of anything that we would have that would block his being such a God for us as to save us. Romans 3:20 and following begins with, but now, apart from the law, apart from that other kind of righteousness, which is really our unrighteousness, but testified by the law and the prophets is God's righteousness. And God's righteousness is through the faith of Jesus Christ to all who believe. So there's no distinction. All sin and fall short of the glory of God. All are justified freely as a gift by his grace through the redemption which is in Christ Jesus. Christ's death on the cross is our righteousness before God. Christ's death on the cross is our holiness before God. It's our standing before God. That event is the achieving of salvation, but it does no good unless it's apprehended by faith. And that is, faith is the very righteousness by which we are counted righteous before God, says the Lutheran Confessions. Or another way of saying it is, where's boasting? It's excluded. By what law? The law of works? No, the law of faith. And then the big conclusion of this little section is what we will take today to learn. And I want you to learn it by heart. I want to take this apart. And look, in the next 15 minutes, we're not going to deep dive into this, because even if I took every word apart, there would still be more. There'd still be more. Logizoma method. This is, we maintain, or we think, or we hold, we are of the opinion. The Concordia commentary on Romans makes the point of saying, this is about, I meant to point to it. It's over there. It's over there. I never know which direction to point to. It's just, I'm direction challenged in life, and you put me in where everything's reversed, and it's over there. Okay. Anyway, notice he says here that a judicial context could be like our judgment is, or our conclusion, or our verdict is. I don't mind that. Or we reckon, if this is a bank thing, the balance of our, after we look at the balance, logizometha, we sort of conclude, we reckon, and we reckon one thing, that man is justified. And this is a dative of means, by faith, by means of faith, chorus ergo gon numu, apart from the works of the law. And so, un is that conclusion. So we maintain, we conclude in all of this. This section concludes that a man, and that's not just a man, but a woman, that's humankind, that's us. If you have flesh, remember, I told you yesterday, if you have this stuff, you're not justified by your works. So now this part is, if you have this stuff, then you stand before God, dekai u sthe, dekai o usthai. If you wouldn't know that I mispronounced it, but some young YouTuber's going to be, he doesn't know how to pronounce his proper Greek. Well, I do it with a southern tongue. Has a little southern twang there. But this word, I want you to sort of ponder it for a second. To be justified. I'd be willing to bet you that this word is a word that we use a lot, but we have no idea what it means. You keep using that word, but I do not think it means what you think it means. To be justified. It could mean that, like the beginning of the show Justified, where a U.S. Marshal shoots somebody who pulls out a gun, and the shooting is justified. That's his excuse too. Like, they asked him, like you showed up there and you told the guy that he needed to either turn himself in or leave town in a day, or you're in a shooting. And then the guy pulled the gun on you first and you shot him, and he's like, it was justified. So you could be vindicated. So a man is vindicated before God. That's not my favorite definition of it. But there it is. Like justified, treated as just, vindicated. You could take that. Yeah, you got what you had coming. Wisdom is vindicated by her children, found to be in the right, found innocent, pronounced righteous or acquitted. That is another. This is the Greek Greek lexicon of Christianity, BDAG, is a pretty famous lexicon. I think the simplest definition of this verb, we could spend hours on this verb, to be justified, would be simply to be forgiven. I think that's, and if you want to write me a nastygram, a 4-page single-spaced letter, I'm okay with that. But like theologically speaking, this is a theological translation of it. I think you should take this as to be forgiven. You could take this as the legal sort of, I pronounce you innocent. You could take this as you were vindicated. It's a passive. It's a present passive. And so either of those definitions don't have you actually being the actor in the whole thing. I just think that maybe a better definition of this would be to go wholly theological and talk about what justification means to you, the sinner. And it means that you're forgiven. It means that you're declared innocent. It means that you're declared righteous. And you aren't innocent, and you aren't righteous, and you aren't justified. I mean, that has already been established by your works. You aren't justified. You're not forgiven. You don't deserve what you get. Which is why I think a very good theological. And look, if you want to make comments on it, I'm more than happy to answer all your comments. But this is a theological translation of this, which I think is simply to be forgiven. Because if we're going to take declared holy, we're going to take declared righteous, we're going to take all those legal sounding words. That's fine. But the big deal, the thing to sort of remember is that the end is that you are declared righteous before God. You are forgiven. And that is not by what you haven't done. It's not. It's by what he did for you on the cross. And this is the clearest explanation. You should memorize this verse. We conclude, we hold, we deduce that a man is forgiven by faith, chorus ergon nomu, apart from the works of the law. And look, if there are two options, works, faith. Actually, it should be works, faith, because this is your right. It should always be on the right. Gospel is always on the right. So this is your right. Works and faith. If there are two options, and it's chorus ergon nomu, not works, then it must be by faith alone. So why does Luther translate this with faith alone? He translates it faith alone because there are only two options. And remember, we had this in the verse earlier, that it wasn't by the law of works, but it was by the law of faith. So you got two options. You got works and you've got faith. And if it's not one, then it's the other. This is the big question in Christianity. Is it works or is it faith? And here Paul answers that for you. We hold that a man is justified, is forgiven, stands before God, is made righteous, however you want to translate it, legally acquitted, by means of faith. And what's interesting about this, he says this a couple of other times, and he uses a dative, but the datives that he uses are by grace. And so that by grace means by faith. Those two things are synonymous. When you roll through the solas, it's by grace alone. That means that these two things mean the same thing. That is by faith alone. By grace alone means not by works. By grace alone means not by your decision. By grace alone means not by what you have and haven't done. By grace alone means by Jesus alone. These are all, it's like, that's why like some people want, solo Christo, by Christ alone. Except by grace alone actually takes care of that. I'm never anti putting Jesus in the solas. I would just say redundant. Because grace alone means Jesus alone, because it means faith alone. Somebody said yesterday in the deep dive, faith equals Jesus, which is exactly right. To be justified by faith is to be justified by Jesus alone. That is by grace alone. The reception is by faith alone, by Jesus alone. And you can take faith and you can switch it out for Jesus and it'll totally make sense. We maintain that a man is forgiven by Jesus alone, apart from the works of the law. Makes sense because that is, faith cannot be separated from its object and subject. Jesus is the Alpha and the Omega of faith. So if you got some faith going on that doesn't have Jesus, then it's not Jesus' faith. But you're talking about faith right when you don't have to talk about faith at all, says Dr. Walther, first president of the Missouri Synod. You can talk about Jesus. So every sermon does not have to say, and I hope you believe this, because when you're talking about Jesus, you're talking about faith. I can't believe that happened. But it did just now. So like what when you are, I'm going to turn that off because you're listening to my text come in. But I need you to sort of grasp this, because this is a linchpin. This is a verse that you should memorize, and you should say it to the devil, the world, and your sinful flesh. We maintain that a man is justified, is forgiven by faith, apart from the works of the law. When the conscience tells you that you're not good enough to be saved, we maintain that a man is justified by grace by faith apart from the works of the law. When the devil tells you you haven't changed enough, that you don't have enough victory in your life, we maintain that a man is justified by faith apart from the works of the law. When sin is knocking at your door and saying, you did me yesterday, you did me the day before, you're going to do me today. Maybe I should pick a different verb, but you understand what I'm talking about. We maintain that a man is justified by faith apart from the works of the law. Somebody like you who's got all your sins and has done all your wrong and has done all the things that you've done can't be saved. We maintain that a man is justified by faith apart from the works of the law. But you got an abortion. We maintain that a man is justified by faith apart from the works of the law. But you committed adultery. But we maintain that a man is justified by faith apart from the works of the law. But you hate your neighbor and you gossip about your neighbor and you do bad things. We maintain that a man is justified by faith apart from the works of the law. But you haven't changed enough, believed enough, done enough. We maintain that a man is justified by faith apart from the works of the law. And if you think that I've said this enough, then I haven't. Because you need to hear this. I need to hear this. We need to hear this. Men need to hear this. Anthropon need to hear this. We maintain that a man is justified by faith apart from the works of the law. When the law and the devil and the... Did you just equate the law and the devil? After faith, yes. When the law whispers in your ears, you don't do enough. You haven't changed enough. You haven't been enough. You're weak on your sanctification, lad. You look back at the devil, you say, and you look back at the law and you say, that's enough. You've gone too far. Do you know why? Because we were done with you in verse 20. Now we're in the gospel section and we maintain that a man is justified by grace, that is by faith, apart from the works of the law. And if the two options are by what I haven't done and by works, and it's not by what I haven't done, koros ergun nomu, then it must be by faith alone that I'm saved. We're going to deep dive this. We're going to look at this and we're going to take this apart and we're going to put it back together again. And it's going to be back the way it's supposed to with no extra parts. The only extra parts that are going to get left out is you, chorus ergun nomu. And that is the good part of Lent. We need you to be swiped right so that Jesus can save you. Or is that swiped left? It doesn't matter. Join us, myht.higherthings.org, for the deep dive. There you will find, with the MyHT subscription, merchandise discounts. Get this cup. You want this cup. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a blessed day and a happy Lent. We maintain that a man is justified by grace, and that it's by faith alone, apart from the works of the law.